Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Beanie, and welcome back to another video where today we are going to be going over the 4 new legends that were shown in the new MLB The Show 19 trailer. I've gone through the trailer a few times now, and I just see 4 new legends. I looked on the Reddit, and I didn't see anybody that maybe I missed, but I could be wrong. I haven't looked at it that in depth, you know, like I haven't gone frame by frame or anything. So if I do miss anybody, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to get a video out where I go over them or try to tack that on to another video or something like that. So yeah, just let me know in the comments. But as far as I know, these are the 4 legends that they released to us, and we're gonna go over their attributes, tell you things about them that you may not know, and just talk about how excited we are for Diamond Dynasty and MLB The Show 19. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. Okay, the first guy that I've created, I've done his attributes and everything, and I've looked at his stats and all that, and I've tried to figure out exactly what kind of player he would be. That would be Jason Kendall. And I'm about to switch over to him, and you guys are going to see what Jason Kendall looks like from my perspective. And your first reaction is going to be that overall looks a little high. And I agree it does, but you have to remember that in Diamond Dynasty, they scale the overalls down a good bit from what their attributes already are because of the Immortals and how they had to balance attributes and everything. So I think in the game next year, he's probably going to fall in a range that's probably 6 to 7 points lower than where I have him here from an overall standpoint. But I feel that the individual attributes are pretty solid, I would say. So that is Jason Kendall, and he has a 97 overall on here from what I created him. And you're going to look at these attributes and you're going to be like, that is aggressive. But let me tell you, this is the 1998 version of Jason Kendall, and he was a catcher, and he was very, very good. He was a contact hitting machine that also had a lot of power versus lefties. A lot of power versus lefties. He had a 614 ISO. Sorry, a 612 slugging, not an ISO. A 614 ISO would be the greatest of all time, my God. But no, he had a 612 slugging percentage. Very, very good. His contact, fantastic. He hit well over 300 versus both sides. He hit 372 versus lefties. He was a beast. He had great vision. He only struck out 51 times. Defensively, he was very good, even though he did seem to have kind of an off year throwing runners out, like base stealers out. Usually he was very good at that, but this particular year, he was a little below average. And also, this dude could fly for a catcher. I mean, this dude could run. Seriously run. He had 26 steals in 31 attempts. That is bananas for a catcher. This card kind of reminds me of a mixture between Buster Posey and JT Realmuto. He has JT Realmuto's athleticism and sort of his catching profile, while he has Buster Posey's hitting. And that's going to make for a really solid card in MLB 19, especially if they do away with Immortals and stuff. And if this is like an early game kind of card, I could see this like being my catcher for like April and May until they come out with a better card. You know, this is a very solid guy. So yeah, that's Jason Kendall. Okay, the next guy coming up is a guy that a lot of people might know from ESPN. He's been a broadcaster, and apparently he's going to be in MLB The Show now. I don't know, maybe they're trying to get him in some of the presentation, like maybe he's going to be on here as an announcer or something like that. That'd be kind of cool because I've always kind of liked him, but whenever I saw him in the game, I was kind of like, well, I mean, was he that good? And I went back and looked at the stats, and yeah, he really was that good. And I didn't know it. It was slightly before I was born, but he's a really good pitcher, and that is Rob Dibble. Rob Dibble was a beast. He was great. He was a relief pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds and I think a few other teams. Yeah, the White Sox and the Brewers. But he kind of tailed off towards the end of his career, but he had like a nice 3 to 4 year stretch where he was like one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. He was dominant for a good while with the Reds. And let me just run through some of these stats here. This is going to be the 1990 version of Rob Dibble. And in 1990, he had a 5.7 hit per 9. He had a 0.3 home run per 9. He walked 3.1 hitters per nine, and he had a 12.5 K per nine. That is fantastic, especially for 1990. That is really, really good. And he threw really hard. He was mostly a fastball slider guy as far as I could tell. I looked through some highlights, and that's really all I could find him throwing was a fastball and a slider. I couldn't really see any changeups or curveballs or anything like that. It was mostly just coming right after you with a fastball and a slider. But he threw 98, like 97 to 98. He had a really nice little tight slider that he would mix in there occasionally. He had adequate control for a relief pitcher. You know, that's why I have the 66 walk per nine up there. And yeah, I mean, he struck out a lot of guys, and he kept, he didn't allow a lot of home runs or hits or anything like that. That year, he ended up having a 1.74 ERA. Very, very solid. He had a .980 whip. Really good, man. A 1.50 fielding independent pitching. His FIP was 1.5. I mean, that's great. A 2.29 ERA plus, which is like the weighted ERA system, which means that he was 129% better than league average from an ERA perspective. He was a really, really good pitcher for a few years there with the Reds. And I think if they take his 1990 version of his card, I think he could be one of the better, maybe early game relievers in MLB The Show. A couple facts about Rob Dibble that I didn't know. Apparently, he had a really, really nasty temper whenever he was playing baseball. He got in a fight with Lou Piniella or some shit. And, like, he would start shit with a bunch of different players and stuff. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting about Dibble, that he would just fight anybody. But yeah, that's Rob Dibble. Let's move on to the other legend. Okay, next up we have the Christian Hurler, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Christy freaking Mathewson. And guys, I'm so hyped for this card. I love really, really old players, and Christy Mathewson is one of my favorite old players of all time. I mean, people don't realize just like how good this guy was. I mean, one of the best players of all time, legitimately. And another thing about him is he was just a legitimately good guy, too. They called him the gentleman's hurler, the Christian hurler. He never pitched on Sundays because of his Christian faith. He was always like super nice to everybody. That he was basically the polar opposite of Rob Dibble. Let's just say that. He was a great guy. And he was also another thing that you may not know about him. He was one of the first 5 people that were inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I mean, that's a tremendous honor right there to be alongside Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, and I forget the other ones because I'm Walter Johnson, maybe? Was Walter Johnson one of them? I think so. And then Honus Wagner? Maybe wrong. I don't know. Go look that up and let me know in the comments and make me look like an idiot. But anyway, Christy Mathewson, this is from his 1908 season, long-ass time ago. I mean, that's over 110 years ago. That's crazy. But anyways, the one thing about this card that you may not like is that he's not going to throw super hard. He wasn't like a Bob Feller back then or a Walter Johnson or someone like that. He's probably going to throw in the upper 80s to low 90s probably, but he has a really nice mix of pitches. He has that screwball. Back then they called it a fadeaway, or he called it a fadeaway, that some guy taught him. What was that guy's name? Daniel something, that taught him the fadeaway, what we now know as a screwball, and it was one of the nastiest pitches in baseball. And the other thing about this guy is he had impeccable control. In 1908, he had a 1.0 walk per nine. He just did not walk people. He also had a 6.0 K per nine, which doesn't seem like it's very good, but you have to compare it against eras. And back then, striking out 6 batters per nine was actually pretty darn good. That's why I ended up giving him an 89 K per nine here. But overall, he's just going to be a solid pitcher across the board. If you can get past the velocity thing and really learn to hit the strike zone with pinpoint accuracy, which is what this guy's what's good about him anyway, is that he's so just pinpoint accurate with everything. then he'll probably be a really good pitcher for you. If they do Immortals next year, this guy will definitely be an Immortal. He's one of the best players of all time, and I'm really excited that he's in MLB The Show. Okay, and finally, the legend that everybody has been waiting for, the guy that we've been clamoring for years and years and years and years. Obviously, it's freaking Willie Mays, the 5-tool stud, and I mean, this card is just going to be insane. If there were ever a card to break the 99 limit on, it would be a card like this, you know, like they did last year. But anyways, this card is just stupid good. He's going to be stupid good next year. He's going to be probably one of the best players in the game. Especially if they do an Immortal with him. My God, he'd be like 125, almost 125 everything. But anyways, just taking a look at this card, obviously, I mean, he has 99 contact versus both sides. Let me give you some numbers to justify that. Okay, this is his 1957 version of his card, and that actually wasn't his best year, but it is the year that I'm going to use because that was still early in his career when he still had a lot of speed. So later in his career, he kind of slowed down a little bit, so I didn't want to use one of those because I wanted to get that 93 speed in there as well as the great hitting, and 1957 was the best card for me to do that with. And but his batting average versus both righties and lefties, 337 versus righties, 339 versus lefties. He was super consistent, got a lot of base hits versus both of them, definitely deserving of a 99. And then his power, he had like a 215 ISO versus righties, very solid. That you could maybe scale that down a bit to like 88 to 90, something like that, but I feel like 93 is about right, especially for a player like Willie Mays. And then versus lefties, he was a monster. He had a 122 OPS, a 777 slugging. I mean, just stupid good. Definitely a 99. If you go past 99, it's probably going to be a 125. Yeah, he was ridiculous. He only struck out 59 times during this season, so I figured 84 vision. That's about the right range. He walked a little bit. 79 discipline might be a little bit aggressive on him. He did have, well, I don't know. He had 75 walks that year, and he had a 408 on base percentage. So it's not bad. So yeah, 79 discipline feels about right. Give him 70 clutch because whatever, 28 bunt, whatever. 85 durability. He played in like 149 games, something like that. Pretty good. And then his fielding. I mean, in my opinion, there is one guy who is a better center fielder than Willie Mays, and that's Andrew Jones. And that is kind of bared out in the statistics by Fangraphs' by their defensive metric. Andrew Jones was able to get like 100 more defensive rating than Willie Mays in like 10 less seasons. I mean, Andrew Jones is like a runaway best center fielder of all time. But behind him, Willie Mays, it's like Andrew Jones is in one tier, Willie Mays is in the next tier, and then everybody else is behind them. Even guys like King Griffey Jr. and things like that, because those two guys were just so stupid good defensively in center field that they just blow the rest of the competition away. And that's why I gave him 98 fielding, 95 reaction. If it would have been a little bit later in his career, I probably would have given him a bit better fielding, just because he did seem to get a little bit better, like in his prime, I guess, as you would say, because this is a little bit before his prime, even though he was ridiculously good. Arm strength, I don't really know. I feel like Willie Mays probably had a really strong arm, but it's hard to find anything on that. So I just gave him like a good arm. I didn't give him like you know, legendary Vladimir Guerrero type arm or something like that. And then speed, he had a ton of speed. He stole a ton of bases. But I did have to knock him on a stealing attribute just a little bit, because he did seem to get caught a lot in this year. I think he got caught like almost 20 times in this particular season. So I had to knock that a bit, but he obviously got a ton of stolen bases and everything. He was a 5-tool stud. And this is probably going to be one of the best cards in the game. I've said that 1,000 times at this point. I'm really excited to use him. The only thing that I could hope for is that he was a switch hitter or something. But other than that, he's great. Maybe we'll get Mickey Mantle this year too to get that switch hitting, 5-tool outfielder kind of guy. But anyways, yeah, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you disagree with any of my things, or if I got something wrong and you're sure that I got it wrong, let me know in the comment section and I'll try to address that in a later video or something. But anyways, I love you guys. I will see you guys later. Please leave a like, please sub if you haven't already, and peace.